This video I'm going to go quickly through a document I recently put together. It was related to the first 51 generations of the Ma family, or the Ma family name and stuff like that. So first of all, I found this document on the Facebook group Taishan Toyson. Somebody had asked about the names and stuff like that, Chinese name. So in this case, what they have is, you leave some descriptions and stuff like that. So one of the things that I looked for in the document was this character, which is the adult name, or also known as the courtesy name, and then also this character, which would, in this one, which comes out to be like a nickname and stuff. I guess these are some other characters that indicate, somebody's clout and stuff like that. So the first generation Ma was really a Zhao and stuff like that. So this is big ancestor and stuff like that, and this is the name, which is Zhao Shi. And then down here you can see the character Z, which means his name, his given name, or his courtesy name. So in this case it was Wen Hua. Then down here, apparently the translation didn't come out correctly. The last line should have been born, and then the number, and then the name. So they should have said 2 sons were born. So you can see this is born. There should have been a 2, and then kids, child, and then 1 name and 2 name. What happens is eventually this character, one of these 2 characters, eventually becomes the next male ancestor. In this case, it's this one. Here you can see 1 child by this name, and then you'll see that this character is over here. Then here, the translation is hard to read, so it says he had 3 sons, first, second, and third. And then it says so it's like you can tell it's like big. Again, this is 2nd generation, 3rd generation ancestor, 4, 5, and then here it's 10, 11, 12, 13, and stuff like that. So these names were in 2 columns. So like I said, the characters, OCR software didn't quite get this translated correctly, and then I didn't go back and double check everything. So they're basically 2 sons, 1 and 2, and then the 1 son that eventually becomes the 2nd generation ancestor. So that would be the second one, would be Zhao Mu. And then this one had a 3rd son, or 1 son, and it would become Zhao Xing. But then this 3rd ancestor was the first one to use the Ma character that the 1st generation one earned and stuff like that. So instead of his real name, he ended up changing it to Ma Sing. And he had two or he had 3, so this should have said 3, so I need to fix that. 3 sons, so 1, 2, 3, and then it appears the last one became the next son, or the next ancestor. And then this was 5, and that's the name. And you can see this one should have said, this should have been 1, so he had 1 son by this name. And you can see that it would be this character. And then you can see his courtesy name was Jin Sui. He had 1 son, Kwon, and then so that's 5. So let me switch to see characters here and stuff like that. So I don't know why Ismos becomes 4, so Saiwan, Kwon, and stuff like that. So then he had 3 sons. So you can see I went through each one where I would make sure if the character that I didn't read correctly over here, like some of these characters become unreadable, is I would look at whoever took over, whoever inherited the ancestorship for the next generation. I would double check the characters. So I'll probably go through another iteration of trying to make sure I correct everything as I go through. So probably the biggest big name ancestor was Ma Yuan. And this is the picture that you see everywhere in the family association on the walls and stuff like that. And he's been known as General Fubo. And he's the one that was a big general that led a big war and stuff like that during the Han Dynasty. So you'll see a big write-up. I don't know if this is completely accurate, but you can see here he had 4 sons and 3 daughters and stuff like that. So I think at some point in the history, one of the daughters eventually marries one of the emperors and stuff like that. And during his lifetime, apparently he got in trouble or something like that, and the daughter that eventually became an empress ended up, cleaning up her father's name and stuff like that. And also, in the original thing, this is 13, 14, and stuff like that. So that's basically what I looked for in a lot of these translations. And then when it got to 20, which is 210 ancestors, the 20, and then 21, they started using a shorthand. So like this is 13, 14, okay. So when it got to 20, they go 2-1. So rather than having to deal with the incorrect English translation, I went ahead and inserted the 10 to make sure it came out correctly. So I would put the 2, 10, 1, which would be 21. So the translation would come out correctly. So eventually, at some point, I went to trying to correct all the hard to read characters that couldn't get translated by the OCR. I went and patched what I thought was, so when it gets really complicated like that, I know there's a lot of characters that there's no way I would be able to figure out what it really supposed to be. And then eventually, so the key things I was looking for is what generation, the name to use, and then if they had a nickname or a given name, I would add it also into the list. So by the time I got down to 43, and this was the point at which they migrated from northern China down to southern China. And in this case, this is where the first guy shows up down in what is known as the Lingnan family ancestor. So, and usually the name you see is this character right here, these two characters, which is Ji Bei and stuff like that. And so this synchronized with the first generation down in Toisan area. So that's why I labeled some of that stuff. And then this will go up to 51, and generation 51 would be the generation which is the teen Bao and stuff like that. So this character you'll see in a lot of the family trees and stuff like that. So here's a bunch of different family trees that I found, and I got a hold of. So this is Ji Bei, and eventually it comes down here to Tin Bao, which is the 9th generation. So you'd see 9 generation ancestor, and then it'd be the name. And then this is the 10th generation. So it's, don't forget, in this one it's first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth son. So I'm an ancestor of the 3rd son. Similarly, other family trees look like this, and you see that the first tree, or the Ji Bei, is right here. So, and this will tell you that this is the first generation and second generation, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, ninth, and then this back part of the tree may change between the different ancestors. And then the other character you recognize is this one. these two characters and stuff like that. This one and this one, which is Tyson. You can see it here. This one is one of the nicer ones that you can kind of read. So you can see this is G-Bay, and eventually you get down here to Tianbo and stuff like that, which is the 9th generation. So if you look at here, you'll see 1st generation, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th. So this is the 9th row and then 10th. For me, I don't have any information which of these sons in our ancestral tree. It may be the last one, since this one seems to extend down all the way to, I think it's generation 14. Here is also eBay. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and stuff like that. So that's all I had for trying to explain this things that I probably still need to clean up on the generation 1 through 51 document.